back to another episode of the Out Here Show. In this episode, we've got a kind of hodgepodge of a bunch of different stuff. First, we're starting off talking about hunting and social media and how they affect each other and kind of what direction that is heading. And we're also going to talk to our friend Zach Ferenbaugh of the Hunting Public. Everybody knows him, so we're going to dive into some different conversations with him, have a good time over the phone, just talking to him and seeing what's going on. So we'll get right into the podcast talking about social media and hunting. We'll move on now to talk about hunters and social media just real quick. And Instagram, if most of you probably know, it did an update. Well, it will hide some of your hunting content or content that Instagram deems as, I don't know, bad for people to see or might make people mad or something like that. So hunters and social media is going to be a growing battle with YouTube and Facebook. I mean, are they censoring how much people are seeing our hunting shows on YouTube? The already?
Hunting
Public. Without knowing?
Yeah, is it going out to all hunters even now, or is it going out to
all
just
subscribers?
Hunters? Yeah. I mean, and they're a giant YouTube channel. So it's just how hunting is going to be not portrayed, but how social media sees hunting is going to be huge. And the author kind of talked about the parallel between hunting, and hunting social media too, and regular social media. It's just like that thirst for attention. He said egomania, greed, sponsor chasing, all that stuff is a part of hunting social media, which doesn't help our cause. I mean, we see it every day when we look at social media.
Yeah. And I think, that's the thing. And I think that's the big issue, I think, that's always been, when is YouTube just going to say no hunting content, no firearms content? Because they are trending that direction. Instagram's already done it. If you go into your settings and check, I don't even remember how to get there, but notifications or something. It has 3 settings of like, show me everything, show me stuff that you don't think I should see, don't show me any of it. So it's like already trying to show you what it thinks you shouldn't see.
What it wants to show you.
Yeah, and it obviously is not going to agree with the hunting content that we're trying to share and that you want to see.
Yeah. Yeah, and going back to the thirst for attention, just this is specifically now shifting away from the parallel between the two and just going to hunter social media in general, of some of the stuff that you see people posting on social media. And it's not all. Some of it is for sponsor chasing or building up your reputation or doing all that sort of stuff. And he talked about it and it was perfect. Some people see that social media as a means to an end. So they're trying to get something from it. And the best social media accounts and what it should be used for is just sharing stuff, not a means to an end. They're trying to get something. They're not posting for the social or sharing aspect, which is probably what Facebook and Instagram were originally for. They're posting only for specific reasons of getting something at the end goal. There's an end goal to it, and you can usually pick them out, but it still happens even on guys that have TV shows already. There's still an end goal to the social media of still trying to get something.
Yeah, it's become, it is a tool for brand awareness and sharing your message, but you can sometimes take it too far or make it too obvious, if that makes sense.
You get lost in not actually sharing your brand message,
not being you,
sharing what you think you should post.
Yes, not being you. Yeah, sharing what you think other people want to see instead of being you. And most of the time, the most authentic brands are the ones that are just themselves, not trying to do anything but be themselves.
Yep. And it's also good. He talked about it as well. The connection that it allows between hunters is good. Like, think of all the conservation organizations using it for good. Game and parks organizations using it for a benefit. Some guy's taxidermy shop burned down. Let's get together and get him some money so he can, rebuild. Or this kid wants to go on this hunt. Let's all, Ducks Unlimited guys, let's all get together, and us 5, we can, take him out hunting or something.
Getting new hunters.
Yeah, new hunters, or just connecting with local hunters that, so you have friends locally that hunt. Like, there's super good things that social media and hunting social media have done and allowed people to do. So it's still good. Again, it's all just how you use it. It all depends on, but those have have an end game, but those are the good end games. So if you have an end game that's good, it's still fine to use it. It just depends on what your end game is.
Yeah.
And I guess it's pretty obvious to see what people are doing. It's pretty obvious to unfollow and see which guys you don't want to follow. And I guess that's the big thing too. If you don't like it, unfollow it. I guess we shouldn't complain too much if we don't want to see it, unfollow it, but some of it happens so much from every brand that you can't unfollow it, otherwise you wouldn't have any social media. Should we change what we post because of anti-hunters? This is one that usually comes up in an article every so often on social media. Should we change what hunters in general, should we change what we're posting to, I don't know if please is the right word, but to accommodate the anti-hunters?
I say yes and no. I say you should be who you are. If you want to post a picture of you with a big buck that you killed, you should be able to post it and not care what they think. It's your opinion, just like it's their opinion to not like hunting. But I think we should think about sometimes what that picture or video might portray. I mean, obviously they can take anything and make it ridiculous and wrong and take it out of context. But, if it's something that maybe you're like, yeah, this maybe looks pretty bad on who we are as hunters, to think about it, but I wouldn't let them stop you from posting the things you want to post.
Yeah, I said don't change, just think it through.
Yeah.
Let's
sometimes
think about what
we
posting.
make stupid decisions on what we post.
Yeah.
When we shouldn't be posting them.
Is there a better photo angle that we could take? The one that annoys the hell out of me is people laying on the ground next to the deer's face.
That was a trend
last year. It's like, that does not look good. Let's just sit with the deer and take a picture like a normal
professionally.
Human being, because when anti-hunters and non-hunters see that, you come off as the hillbilly hunter that they think we are.
Or you're taking it, what you just did, lightly. When you're just laying there screwing off, in a sense. Yeah. It looks like you're taking a life of an animal lightly instead of being professional and, I guess, not necessarily the right way, but doing it professionally.
Yeah, so I think in that way you should change, because but to me that's just an obvious one. It's like, let's not, that does not look good in any way to anybody, to hunters, to non-hunters.
It's not a good photo. Come on.
Just take a normal photo. So let's think it through. Can we wipe the blood off before we take the picture? Probably might be something to think through.
Can we not show the side where the bullet exploded? Yeah. Maybe flip them around.
Yeah. Is there some of it too? Is there a better comment or description we could put with the photo? So sometimes it's not the photo; it's what the person's saying or what your buddy's saying underneath of it that could be an issue. Like I'm saying, let's not completely change who we are to appease these people that don't know us and don't know what hunting actually is. But let's make it harder for them to find things and just think through what we're posting and just not, like I said, not let them think. They think we're hillbilly hunters. Let's not give them reason to keep believing that. Yeah. So that's just, and then he did a really good job in the article of saying it. So we can't, and he said it too, and it's perfectly said, we can't just leave social media completely as hunters and just get off of it, because then it becomes a one-sided story. And then you're just letting all the other propaganda keep going. I think that's
maybe a good way to put it, is use it as a way to share your story. Don't let them dictate your narrative. Share your narrative and share your story, and do it as professionally as you can, and think about what that is saying about you and other hunters.
Yeah, we need to use, like you said, the power of the good social media, the good aspects of it, to protect what we enjoy and promote what we enjoy. So use the good aspects, quit doing the bad stuff that happens on social media. The biggest thing, and he said it, I'm just going to repeat what he said because he did a good job with it, is don't quit social media. Call out the foolishness when you see it. When someone's doing something stupid, took a bad picture, don't be, mean about it, but call out the foolishness or the stupid stuff you're seeing your friends do. Maybe it might be better, just people that you know or other hunters. Call that stuff out. Unfollow, he said, the garbage posting hunting personalities. And that's what he said. But unfollow them and don't give them the promotion that they're so badly seeking if they're doing it in ways that are just for that means to an end. And message companies that support those people and let them know, as a normal, regular hunter, we do not, why are you supporting those type of people?
Yeah, but that doesn't represent me or who I want to support.
Call it out, unfollow them, and message the companies that are doing the good, and message the ones that you maybe don't agree with, and let them know where you sit. Maybe they'll finally realize some of these people that have multiple baiting violations probably aren't the best people to be sponsoring. So with that, we'll move on to our outer left field segment, and I'm going to hit this one with you quick. I don't know if you're going to be able to do it or not, but we can talk about mine. What Olympic sport would you do if you could do an Olympic sport, or if you had to choose an Olympic sport.
So you had 4 years to learn the sport for the next Olympics.
Yeah.
So which one would you choose?
That you would think you could be best at, or have a chance at actually doing.
And we said we were gonna, for the sake of this conversation, we're throwing out the hunting related ones. So like the shooting and the archery, because obviously all of us are into shooting and archery. We'd choose shooting and archery. So we're throwing out the shooting and archery ones. What those hunting type ones? What ones could you do that aren't those ones?
Yep. And mine, I picked because it has, my thought process on this is little athletic skill, and I think I can learn it. Is equestrian, because all I have to do is ride. And if someone else can train the horse, I can ride, and it has a little athletic ability.
Yeah, I didn't have time to. I mean, there's probably like a bazillion Olympic sports, but I was trying to think like the same. It'd have to be something that didn't take athletic skill, but was like a mental thing or something that you could learn.
Yep.
Like I couldn't play on the baseball team, no matter how hard I tried, because I don't have enough athletic ability to play on the baseball team. But like maybe I could really learn ping pong or something.
I thought ping pong.
They're pretty
but
athletic.
then I've seen how quick that goes.
Yeah,
Can't do it.
But like something like that. I mean, they're all athletic. Like they're all world class athletes. Obviously, I'm never being an Olympic athlete. But like, you know, if you had to try, what's something you could do? You could maybe try golf. You think, because you could learn golf and get your score under
you probably could
100 if you tried. But that takes some athletic ability too. But that's maybe one you could learn in 4 years. Probably not. But like,
I didn't know about some of the like kayaking ones, you know, where
like when they go through those rapids.
But some of that's physically intense. But could you work up to having enough? I'm pretty light. I feel like I could sit in a kayak and just let the kayak go.
Well, there's like speed rock climbing. Do you see that one? Where they just climb as fast as they can?
Yeah.
Some of that. I mean, there's sure some crazy ones that we're not even thinking of. I'm trying to think of ones I've seen. Which would be easier, do you think? Summer Olympics? Winter Olympics?
Yeah, I only looked at summer too. I didn't really look at winter, but there's got to be something.
I think Winter Olympics would maybe tend to be less athletic.
Bobsled. All you gotta do is push for 15
and
seconds
I'm
and
super
hop
light,
in.
so I wouldn't be a lot of
super
weight.
light and super small, plenty of room for everybody else to hop in. That could be good.
That's true.
I can't think of any other winter ones.
No,
I like some
the,
sort of like a tube skiing or something. I don't know.
The one I like that we've thrown out of this one is the one where they cross country ski and then they shoot the targets.
Yeah,
that's the one I would choose if you put the hunting ones in.
Yep.
Because you have to do like I feel like I could ski and shoot.
Yeah,
but like, yeah, I can't think of any of the other ones that I do. I think Winter Olympics would probably be easier, but I don't know which ones.
I heard on a sports show here a couple days ago that they were trying to get cornhole or bags, whatever you call it, depending on what part of the country you're in as an Olympic sport. Do you think that should be an Olympic sport?
No.
Is there enough skill involved in that? But I think that one anybody can learn or practice enough to be good at it. So that's one that if it was, you could.
What's
do.
that one where you shuffle the ice?
I was gonna say shuffleboard, but that's not it. But I know.
But
what
it's
you're
like
talking about.
shuffleboard.
You rake the ice
bigger.
and they send the thing down. Yeah, could do that.
Shuffleboard, but bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's another winter one.
Because like there's that meme that went around like 4 years ago of those old guys that just looked like they just got together on the weekends and learned how to do it. So like I feel like you could probably do that one.
Yep. But yeah, so there's some that if you had to choose one, that like if your life depended on you getting a medal, that you could choose.
Yeah, you could learn for 4 years
Yeah.
and be prepared to do
That's
it.
non-athletic people could do. And then there's a bunch that we couldn't do. But those are the ones we have the greatest chance at possibly being successful at.
So let us know in the comments. There's probably a whole bunch of them. You probably have to look them up. But which one you think you could do?
Beer pong doesn't count.
Yeah, I think, and the Olympic sports that they're putting in there now, I think is getting a little ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like some of them are just not right.
Yeah, so we definitely want to hear below what Olympic sport you think you could actually do. No hunting, fishing, archery.
You get 4.
Like that. Fishing
we're gonna
can be.
We're gonna throw. Yeah, we're gonna throw out the hunting related ones because obviously that's what everybody's gonna choose to do is something archery or gun related. So throw out those ones. Which one would you do?
Yep. So that'll be fun. I want to hear what everybody says. We talk through ours, Google it, see what sports there are, and go from there. So.
And now we're going to continue our kind of series with Zach Ferenbaugh. We kind of broke that interview up because there's so much good information there. We're going to continue our series and our conversation with Zach of the Hunting Public. So you are our first guest on this new endeavor of a podcast talk show thing we're doing here. So how's it feel to be our first esteemed guest?
I feel pretty honored now. I know you guys have been starting to dive into the podcast game, so I feel honored to be the guest. It's cool. I'm excited about it.
It's got to be your top hunting accomplishment ever, don't it?
I don't. As you know, if anybody listening has watched this video that I've been in where I've shot something,
Yeah, we're happy to have you on, so it'll be fun. You were out hunting pronghorn right here like this last week. Was that? I knew you did it the year before. Was it any different this year? Were you in the same place, the same state?
No, I was in a different area. So I was in Colorado, and Grant, who was a PhD intern in 2019, he just recently moved to Colorado, but he was the one that got the tag. And I had been wanting to go this year, but the way the season lined up for South Dakota, which is where we were last year, it just was going to cram too much into basically right now. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to get that early start around mid-August, and then be able to hunt pronghorn for a week, and then be able to come home, edit that stuff, and kind of reorganize and go back out. That's kind of the schedule that I like. Like kind of week on, week off. That way I can really hunt hard and then edit hard. And I feel like that's just where I work best, versus like back at the beginning we were doing a lot more like trying to hunt and edit and cram that all into one day, and it just like wears you out. I mean, it's still a lot of work to do it this way, but I definitely feel like I can just buckle down and like it's kind of like motivation to hunt harder when I'm hunting, and then it's motivation to get it done, edit harder and get it done so I can go on the next thing. So that's kind of what we did. And, man, I love pronghorn hunting though. It's like probably one of my favorite things to do. I just recently started doing it like I said last year, the first year, and it's just nonstop stalking, and it's like great practice. That's the best way to put it. Is like it's just repetition, where like if you're going to go to practice for any other sport you do, you practice all week for, a game or two a week or whatever. Like, kind of the same thing with pronghorn hunting and relating that back to deer or elk or, anything you may, even turkey, really, for that matter. It's just, you learn how to move across the landscape and what you can and can't get away with. You learn how to use terrain. And, it's just, like, incredible practice. And you're going to get a lot of practice because you're not going to get very many pronghorn no matter how many times you stalk them. They're just better than that.
I was going to say, I'd like to pronghorn hunt, but I don't think my bow hunting skills are good enough like to get that close. But is there any, like, you kind of mentioned some, but are there any like parallels that you can take from pronghorn hunting, even like where you see them bedding or any of that kind of stuff, to translate that back to whitetail hunting, or is it kind of two separate things?
I would say it's incredibly similar, man. Like, you get to see like how they bed in the terrain, how they bed with the wind. Like, we always talk about, I know you guys like pay attention to this a lot too, like wind-based bedding. It's like those pronghorn are almost like surely going to bed on a hillside, like with the top of the hill at their back and the wind coming over the top. The same thing. So it does kind of make it challenging a lot of times. They may bed 30 yards from the top to where you think, I'll just easily pop over and get a shot at them. But that wind's coming over, and that'll bust you, That'll bust you just the same as whitetail. The other thing is just like where on a hillside, like they kind of like those same similar areas, and it definitely helps you be able to get into an area and whitetail and say, hey, like this is just a bedding spot. It's just more, again, it's just more reps. I really don't think of it as being that much different at all. The only thing that is different, but again, it's kind of good for practice, is they can see way better than a deer. Like, so much better that it's like comical at times, because like you think in your head, you're like, we got this easy, we'll just pop up real quick and try to get eyes on him again and see where he's at. And like, he's 350 yards away blowing at you.
Jeez.
Like, saw the top of your baseball cap pop up, Just ridiculous. But yeah, using and then just using all those failed stalks to say, hey, next time I can't get away with this. I thought I could, but I can't. And then you just kind of keep improving, and eventually, you start getting closer and closer, and kind of get into that If you're getting inside of 100 to start, like, honestly, that's a good thing. Not necessarily for a shot, just like if you're breaking that realm, that's a good thing. But the hard part is breaking 60 and in, and to take it even a step further. I mean, if you're breaking 40 and in, like, you're really doing something, in my opinion. Like, that's probably maybe one of the hardest things to do in bow hunting is get that close. So,
especially out there in that terrain, it's like there's like probably maybe Colorado was different than where you guys were last year, but it seems like it's just open. Like there isn't, like trees or things to hide behind. You're kind of just using the hills and terrains and stuff, and they obviously live there, so they know what's out of place and stuff.
Yeah, and there's definitely not a lot of terrain. It's like the only cover that we were using was just sagebrush. Like there's pretty much. Well, I guess there's a couple times where we find these little tiny aspen patches, but they weren't really much of a factor. Not even really worth noting. The only thing that we were using is like if there was any type of terrain change, and then there was some sage that just kind of created a little wall to crawl up behind, and we're talking like a foot or two. Not much of a change, but that's basically what you're limited to. I was watching some footage and even seeing some like stuff that Ted and Hayden and those guys have been putting on the Instagram story with the bear hunt in South Dakota, which is where we were last year. It's actually more open out there, like more grassland type stuff, less sage, but I do remember there being a little bit more terrain, especially like low ground terrain, like little ditches and stuff. Where we were in Colorado, it was like very rolling hills, but not a lot of ditches, not a lot of stuff that you could like, kind of drop down into. Everything was more kind of getting up and around versus down and around, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Which is, just very situational, but was definitely a noticeable difference.
Do you run into any rattlesnakes?
Not in Colorado, actually. And I don't think we did in South Dakota either I know they're in those areas. It's just, I actually do. This is actually a funny story. It wasn't hunting, but I got into trail running now that I'm out here in Colorado. And I was on this trail and I was coming around a corner and I just happened to look down. There was this dinky little rattler. I mean, he was like, honestly, maybe only like 6 inches long. Super small, but you could tell right away that it was definitely a rattler because he had the little baby rattle on him, and then he had that what do they call it? The very distinct head saying, "Hey, this is a dangerous snake."
Yeah.
I kind of watched him for a second, and I kept running down the hill. I ran down and around, and I kind of did this like section where I hit this loop. And I passed these two guys that were also running, and they like went the high trail and I went the low trail, but it was a loop. So we were gonna pass each other, and we passed each other, and I made it past them, I don't know, a couple hundred yards or whatever, and all of a sudden I like look up and there's just a monster rattler laying across the trail.
Oh God.
I'm like, dude, did those guys just jump right over those? Or did they even notice it? Was it not there? I'll never know. I tried to catch them at the parking lot and ask them if they even noticed it, or said maybe it wasn't even there when they were coming through. But yeah, be on your toes out there, I guess.
Yeah.
That was pretty surprising thing to see coming around there. But I haven't really hunting. I don't think I've ever seen one hunting, just kind of hiking or, sniffing around, scouting and stuff, but that's about it.
Yeah, no, I lived out west in western Nebraska pretty much all of last year and hunted. I never came across a rattlesnake, but I was pulling up to check a gate on a piece of public land to see if it was locked or not, and I hopped out, and when I hopped out, I didn't look, which was my first mistake, but I hopped out and there was a, I don't know, like at least 4-foot bull snake there that I didn't see, and I stepped right on him, and he coiled up and hit me right in the top of the knee. And then I took off running, and I'm like, that was just a rattlesnake. Like, I just got bit by a rattlesnake. And I snuck back over there, and it was just this giant bull snake. But I'm like, well, that was stupid. Why did you not look before you got out? So I learned my lesson. I now look before I just hop out of the truck. But I'm like, that could have been bad. But
That's hilarious. That definitely could have been bad. I mean, that probably made you about pee your pants a little bit.
the heart was going, and then once I realized it wasn't a rattlesnake, I was like, oh, thank God. But yeah, so I didn't see a rattlesnake or anything all of last year, but they're out there somewhere, I know, so.